so much to get to in the next 90 minutes, along with my colleagues here with us this week. All right, everyone. Good morning. Welcome. It's great to see everyone virtually. My name is Nicholas Cohen. I'm the Executive Director of Maryland Citizens for the Arts. On this snowy morning, it's great. I know we're all here virtual. I miss seeing you all in person, but I think maybe we got a little lucky this time, that the fact that this probably would have been snowed out if we were in person, but here we are, all gathered here on our virtual screens, celebrating the arts. So look, we're here virtual. It's going to be a different day, but it doesn't mean we can't be effective. In fact, we can be really effective by showing how many people we are, how much we believe in the arts. And we're going to advocate for the arts in this virtual space. And, you know, we're going to talk about this being a challenging year, but the fact that our voices need to be heard more than ever. And you know, it's so critical that we continue to support and invest in the arts. And that's why Maryland Citizens exists, and that's why you're all here today. So really quick, a couple of items. First, you'll see a few links showing up in the chat bar. If you haven't accessed that yet, you can access the chat bar on your Zoom toolbar, which should be at the bottom of your computer screen. It should say chat. You click that, and then you'll see Morgan or Amanda on our staff will link to a few things as I kind of bring it up through the rest of the morning. So the first link that's going to go up, we actually have a virtual grab bag. I know many of you that have been to Maryland Arts Day before, you'll probably be used to getting a program and a bookmark with talking points and economic impact report from the State Arts Council. So you'll see we just dropped the grab bag. And so when you click that, you can go directly to it. You can find the program. You'll find the bookmark that'll have talking points. And there's some other kind of neat things in there too. If you don't know who represents you in your state government, we have a link that you can look up and find who that is. And I want to give a shout out to Morgan, our program coordinator. She looked up as many as she could, the Twitter handles of our state lawmakers. So as you're going along the day, and if you feel like tweeting, you can actually include your lawmakers with that. So that document's also available.
We get
in the grab bag. So please
get Ann involved with
check it out.
The artists who
are. So actually,
Nicholas.
Yes,
this is Julia. Hi, sorry. Because we're all very eagerly and wonderfully saying good morning to each other. That what you have posted in the chat is really hard to find.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if maybe you want to put it in the questions, or I'm just looking for it and really excited and loving seeing everyone. Thank you.
Thanks for the heads up. We'll make sure we do it. We'll put it in there a few times so you can find it.
Great. Thank you.
That's helpful too. As we're going along, if you all see things and if we can be helpful, you know, we're all in this together. So there we go. Okay. And I'll make sure. And actually, Amanda or Morgan, just make sure you're putting that in the everyone chat, not the waiting room one. I'm noticing that. So we'll figure that out. Here we are. Okay. So just keep an eye out for that. And let's go. Okay. So I'd now actually like to welcome up Daniel Singh, who's one of our MCA trustees. For every event, MCA is committed to doing a land acknowledgement and statement. So I will welcome up Daniel to say a few words.
Thank you, Nicholas. My name is Daniel Phoenix Singh. I'd like to take a moment to open today's event with a simple but humble statement of gratitude and acknowledgement. On behalf of Maryland Citizens for the Arts, we'd like to acknowledge that we hold space in Maryland across the unceded traditional lands of the Piscataway people who have stewarded it through many generations. MCA acknowledges that in order to make this a more meaningful practice, we respectfully ask you to consider learning more about the Piscataway Conoy tribe, the people where the rivers blend. More resources are provided in the chat. We'll continue to post them through the day. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world. The generations who contributed their energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some, like me, were drawn to leave their distant homes in the hope of a better life. And some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. We acknowledge we are all standing on ancestral lands, and we honor the thousands of enslaved Africans whose lives were physically and spiritually stolen. We pay respects to their elders, past and present, and we hold space for them as we begin our day today. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. And for those, as we said, if you want to do some more research, there's a link that we've included in the chat that will give you sort of an idea of tribal territories really throughout the world, but you can also look up where you live and acknowledge that we do live on stolen land. Additionally, we have included a document in the comments. It's the Honor Native Land Guide. So again, if you're interested in learning more about these statements and putting words into action, I encourage you to use that document as you go forward. So again, as I mentioned, definitely get connected today. We're using the hashtag MD Arts Day 2021. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, take pictures of the screen. When you see talking points, definitely share that. And don't forget to tag your lawmakers. As I mentioned, there's as many lawmakers as we could find their Twitter handles. Get them involved. It's a great, great thing to do. So now, before we get to, I know there's some lawmakers that are joining us. Before I get to that, I did want to welcome up our Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees for Maryland Citizens for the Arts, April Nyman, to say a few words of welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'd first like to acknowledge that all the attendees and advocates here today, you make a difference. And so we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today as we go through this process. I'd like to say a few words of thanks to several groups, starting with the Maryland State Arts Council. The Maryland State Arts Council supports us all. They do so many good works, and we could not do this without them. We're recognized nationally as a state for the arts, and it has a lot to do with their efforts. So thank you. And our Maryland Citizens for the Arts Board, we are incredibly grateful to our board. We have a fabulous board of talented individuals that work so hard to accomplish our mission. And finally, most important, our lawmakers. Our lawmakers are a wonderful resource and support for the arts in Maryland, and we thank each one of them. We are grateful for their efforts and support, and we look forward to working with them this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, April. And personally, I'd like to thank all the Maryland Citizens for the Arts trustees, all our members of the different committees we have, and especially the events committee, chaired by Carol Alexander and Phil Davis, for their continued work, helping to make programs like today's truly successful and helping to really invest in the advocacy work we do and the connections we make throughout our communities. So now I'm excited. We do have some lawmaker greetings. I want to acknowledge that this, the lawmakers have been obviously working in a very difficult way down in Annapolis, and their schedules.
134 people on here.
Their schedules are incredibly busy. So I found out last night that the delegates have scheduled an 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. meeting this morning. So many of the delegates that wanted to show up, that were planning to speak, obviously can't make it. I did want to acknowledge, though, that Delegate Maggie McIntosh and Delegate Brooke Learman and Speaker Jones were planning to speak, but they send their regards, and unfortunately couldn't make it. But the Senate is available. We have some amazing senators on the other side who are equally as huge champions of the arts and here to speak. And I'm being told that I think President Pro Tem of the Senate, Melanie Griffith, is here. So Senator, if you can join us and say a few words, that would be great.
Good morning. Thank you, Nicholas. I am so excited to be here and see so many. I think I see over 300, almost 350 of you in the Zoom room. And I'm just energized this morning, even though it's snowing outside. It's my pleasure to be here for Maryland Arts Day again. I don't think I've missed one in my many years in Annapolis. I was thinking, Nicholas, this morning as I was reflecting how much Maryland Citizens for the Arts have done to promote the arts in the state of Maryland. And I'd be remiss if I did not acknowledge the work of our local and Maryland State Arts Council. And if I could shout out my colleagues at the Prince George's Arts and Humanities Council, good morning. I want to thank the board members, the artists, the arts organizations, the arts entrepreneurs and arts businesses that are making Maryland one of the most phenomenal states in the country, the best state to live in. You all are making it so that people who are feeling down are lifted up through your work. And I want to encourage you to keep doing what you're doing. I started, as you all know, in the House of Delegates, and I worked with great art supporters like Mike Bush and Adrian Jones and Maggie McIntosh, who you named. And then I came to the Senate and I got to work with arts champions like President Bill Ferguson, Guy Gazzone, Sarah Elfreth, and Chris West, and so many more. You have some real true supporters in Annapolis, and we're working. I want to encourage you to continue to be creative, be flexible. Even today, our schedules are changing on the minute, but know that you have some real champions. We're watching the budget. We know you're concerned about the BRFA, and you'll probably be talking about that today. But we have done everything that we can to try to inject emergency relief funds for the arts, and just continue to talk to your legislators. If you don't catch them today, talk to their staff and keep on reaching out because it's working.
Thank you so much, Senator. It's, as you can hear, it's incredible just to hear. We have such incredible representatives at the state. I mean, the level of detail they take and care, the fact that, the BRFA is such a big budget item and a document, and the knowledge that all of our representatives know that right now the BRFA is affecting us, and the care they take to champion it. It's really appreciated. And I'll just say personally, it's a joy to get to meet with you, Senator Griffith, and thank you for your continued advocacy and work towards the arts, and also just making lives better in Maryland for everyone. Much appreciated. So I'm also, I'm being told, I think we have another senator on the line, Senator Sarah Elfreth. I do want to mention Senator Elfreth is another credible champion of the arts. She's actually a co-sponsor and the sponsor in the Senate of our Arts Capital bill, which is a really incredible bill that I'll talk about a little later. But again, yet another senator that I really enjoy working with, both whether it pertains to the arts, but also the other bills that she puts on the floor for the Senate are really impactful in improving our lives. So she's just what I would say a holistic senator in how she approaches legislation. So Senator Elfreth, if you're there, please join us and say some words.
Well, good morning. Thank you so much, Nicholas. It's so good to be with everybody. I don't know if I've ever been in a Zoom room this large before, which I think speaks to folks' passion to show up and participate. And I represent the capital city. I normally would be welcoming you to my district. I walked to work this morning and it was a little treacherous of a walk. So I think it's a blessing that we can do this virtually, but I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for participating today. Nick mentioned the Capital Arts Bill, and you better believe that he is on my speed dial, and you don't have a better advocate in terms of whipping the votes and getting legislators to appreciate the value of art. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that April and Carol are also my constituents, so they are incredible advocates for the arts at the state level. I'm just fortunate enough to call them mine. But I just want to thank you for participating, because we can't do our jobs without you. We come to this Capitol from all 188 of us from different experiences, different districts, different communities, but throughout them all, there is an arts presence because of you in each one of those communities. And for you to be here today and remind us of that, and remind us of the importance of investing in arts, both in programming and in capital, which is what Delegate Lehrman and my bill does, is essential, particularly as we're going to get ourselves out of this pandemic. You are bringing light and life to so many folks stuck in their homes right now. And when we can be together again in person, it's going to be the arts and cultural organizations that remind us of our humanity and remind us of everything we miss, but everything we have to look forward to. So I'm just so happy to be here today. And thank you for advocating for our important bills we have. I have another bill dealing with local arts funding in the city of Annapolis. So I just truly appreciate you spending your snowy Thursday with us. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you again, Senator Elfreth. And yeah, I'll second that. I think I feel very lucky that we're doing this virtually. I think it'd have been a challenge, especially for some of our maybe Western Maryland folks to get to Annapolis today if we're doing it in person. And while I'm missing everybody, it's great that we can do this here. And yeah, I agree. I love seeing about over 400 people in this Zoom room. It might be a record for me too, but I love it. I love the passion that we have here. And I think a lot of that is knowing that we've got great elected officials that support our work. And excuse me, I'm trying to find, I think we're waiting. I know Senate President Bill Ferguson is planning to arrive to say a few words, but what I'll do as we're waiting, actually, so many of you know the State Arts Council is part of the Maryland Department of Commerce. Secretary Kelly Schultz, who's a great champion of the State Arts Council and leads the Commerce Department, actually has a recorded video for us to share, to send some remarks. So I'll play that, and when the Senate President shows up, we can pivot to him.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maryland Commerce Secretary Kelly Schultz. Thank you for joining us for this virtual Maryland Arts Day this year. Things are still a little bit different, and we're still working to put the COVID-19 pandemic behind us. But it is very heartening to know that we're still committed to the arts in Maryland and that we recognize the power of art to inspire and comfort us when we face difficulties in our lives. The past year has shown us that we need the arts now more than ever. Governor Hogan and the Maryland Department of Commerce remain committed to supporting Maryland artists and arts organizations during and after this crisis. In addition to the $22 million distributed through regular grants programs, the Maryland State Arts Council's Emergency Grant Program provided $7 million in relief to artists and arts organizations across the state. In addition to the grant funding, the Arts Council has continued to hold virtual engagements to provide professional development and to hear feedback from constituents. There have been more than 150 of these events since March, with more than 5,500 participants. Wow. Commerce and the Arts Council also works with the state's 24 county arts organizations and 29 arts and entertainment districts to increase the impact of the arts across the state. County arts agencies supported artists in every Maryland jurisdiction, providing more than $11 million in grants in fiscal year 2020. Our arts and entertainment districts support the arts in areas where local governments have included the arts in their economic development and revitalization plans. In fiscal year 2019, new businesses and events in these districts generated $12.4 million in state and local revenue and 1,600 full-time equivalent jobs. During this pandemic, we saw innovation from both the A&E districts and the county arts agencies who provided emergency grants and virtual programming. It certainly has been a difficult year, and I'm sure more difficult days will follow before this pandemic is over. But I guarantee that brighter days lie ahead. And as we move forward, we will, I'm certain, look to the artists to help us to make sense of what we've experienced, to remind us of what makes us strong, and to help us heal. Thank you to Nicholas Cohen and MCA for your advocacy and ongoing support. Special big thank you to Ken and his entire team at the Arts Council for your leadership and what you have all been able to do during these very troubled times. Thank you to our wonderful community of artists, patrons, and advocates. And you, thank you, of course, to all of Maryland's artists for being one of the best parts of our community and our growth. Happy Arts Day.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Schultz, for that message. I'm being told, I believe, Senate President Bill Ferguson has joined us. And I think actually the Chairwoman Maggie McIntosh has as well. So I'll ask if Senate President Ferguson, if you're here, please step up, join us, say a few words.
Nicholas, it's Melanie Griffith. President Ferguson is having problems loading. He's tried by phone and by his laptop, so he may get in a few minutes, but you may want to move on and circle back.
Thank you. Oh, I think I just saw him. I think we just admitted him. All right, I think is delegate. Thank you, Senator. Chairwoman Maggie McIntosh, are you on the line? I think you might have joined us. If you are, you can feel free to say a few words.
Nicholas?
Yes.
People are getting kicked out of the meeting and I'm not entirely sure why. I'm going to work on that.
Okay. Oh, I think I just got a direct message from Senate President Bill Ferguson. I think he's here. He's saying he's here. So Senate President, if you're here and you want to join us, please unmute yourself and say some words.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Good to see you.
Excellent. Great. I'm sorry. I don't know what was going on. I have never had that before where it said an error message that said there was a server problem and wouldn't let me in. So, I made it here in snow in time. And I thought I was going to be able to make a joke that we didn't have to get delayed because of the snow because we're in this virtual environment. And lo and behold, here I am delayed because of the electrons. So, look, I am sorry for being a few minutes late, but I do want to just say thank you to all of the incredible artists, friends of artists, supporters, stakeholders here making Arts Day 2021 in a very, very different year, a year that has been harder than anyone ever could have imagined. And I'm just so thankful that you all have found a way to continue to advocate for the important issues that we know are absolutely essential in this very, very challenging time, and figuring out how we can infuse the arts in sort of everything that we do. I truly believe is going to be so important moving forward. Look, this has been really, really tough, and this is I keep telling people when they've asked House session, the obvious things of the health concerns and the pandemic, but there's another part of session that I think is impacting us in ways that I couldn't have expected, that I'm sure is the same for many others in many other places and spaces. This has been the loneliest session that we've ever had. It is unbelievably isolating. And session is normally this time, whereas the General Assembly and a legislature, we are coming together to talk about the biggest problems facing our society and trying to find solutions, but we're doing it together with people and thinking, how do we act creatively to try and solve these problems? Because of the restrictions that we have in place and because of the fear of the virus and the health calamity that this has been, we're all in our own place. We're all alone. We're in we are separated. We are socially distant. And it's having an impact on every aspect of the legislative process, of how we interact, how we engage, and it has made everything so much more difficult. And I say all of this because it makes me think of the art, and because when we really think, and every year I've had the opportunity to sort of have a moment of reflection about my own sort of perspective on the arts generally, and I think the beauty of the arts and creativity is that it really is the expression of humanity. It is how, without words, but sometimes in words, we are able to tap into those deep emotions that make us human. And in these moments where it has been so difficult and so hard and so fearful and challenging and divisive, it is the arts that will bring us through this, not just through the pandemic, but will remind us what makes society work. It is our shared and common values in this lived experience that is life. And it is through the arts that we really have the chance to understand that. And so I want to thank you all for your consistent and persistent just understanding of the importance of what the arts brings and what creativity brings to us as a people. And it's something this year that is going to be front of mind. And I know that we had a couple other senators, President Pro Tem Melanie Griffith, I believe, was able to say hello earlier, and Senator Elfreth, I think, was able to join. I feel so fortunate to have such incredible colleagues help fight through this challenging moment, who understand the value of the arts and the humanity that it brings. I do want to make note, and I hope that my Senate colleagues also pass this along, that when we were thinking about how do we immediately impact this pandemic and help people survive, the arts were front and center. We had a specific line item for artists who have been struggling enormously in the midst of this experience, and also a significant investment in nonprofits, many of which are working with young people and families and creatives to to try and hold it together until we can get this vaccine fully administered. We will continue to do that. And I also want to give my sincere congratulations to, of course, every year, the Sue Hess Maryland Arts Advocate of the Year, Aaron Mabin, somebody who has been doing absolutely awesome stuff. I hope that he is addressing people today, because this is a truly wonderful individual who is using his skills and talents to build coalitions, to think differently about the world, and to inspire young people to greatness. And so I am so thankful for his work. Look, we are going to be partners in the weeks and months ahead. Your community is front and center in our minds through this session. And let me just end with one final note. And that is, if you look across human history, the thousands of years of human history, this is not the first pandemic, and it certainly won't be the last. But in each of the pandemics in human history of the past, what we have seen over and over and over again is that following pandemics, these periods of immense pain and suffering and anguish, the years immediately following them are the periods of greatest creativity, collaboration, and innovation. And it makes sense, because as we've been shut down, we've been forced to really think about what's most important. And what I deeply believe is that it will be arts here in Maryland that will be the expression of power, of our love for one another, of our human value. That will be what lets us rise again. And so I want to say thank you. Please know that you have a partner here in the General Assembly that is ready to stand with you. We will get through this. Stay safe, wear your mask, get your vaccine when you're eligible, because 2021 will be the year of rebuilding and recovery. Thank you all, and we will get through this.
Thank you so much, Senate President Ferguson. It's great to hear your words, and first I'd say just a huge amount of appreciation. As you heard, the Senate put in some emergency funding for the arts, and then the House came around and supported that, which it's really great to see that kind of belief in what we do is so important, not just in good times, but especially in challenging times. And as the president said, that sort of investment it's believed that it's important, that it's critical, and our elected officials show that. So, and I do also want to acknowledge, I think the Senate President's been doing a great job leading the charge on making sure that Marylanders, that we can get healthy and get through this pandemic. If you're like a policy wonk like I am, he has some great sort of hearings and stuff you can watch, and you can actually, it's very informative to find out where we are in the vaccine or things like that. So definitely check out some of his work as our President of the Senate. And again, thank you for your words. Okay, thank you again to all of our lawmakers who were able to make it. It was great to see you all. I will now move to as we like to call her, the First Lady of the Arts, First Lady Yumi Hogan. As we know, she is a great supporter as an artist herself, and really a great art supporter in the governor's mansion, true champion for what we do. She also made me aware that, of course, she loves to be at Maryland Arts Day. She misses seeing all of us in person. She misses actually just seeing us. I mean, she's someone that loves to travel the state and see what we're all doing all over all over Maryland. But she actually has provided us with a few words of support.
Good morning, I'm Yumi Hogan, the First Lady of Maryland. I want to thank the Maryland Citizen for the Arts and its Executive Director Nicholas and your team members for having done great work during this difficult time. I also want to recognize Secretary Kelly Schultz, the Maryland State Arts Council selected official today. Keynote speaker is Aaron Mabin. Many volunteers and art advocates for support the MCA and the Maryland arts communities. Last but not least, congratulations to Sue Hess Legacy, Arts Advocate of the Year Award recipients, KBB, Ajunku, and Wa Production, and the Scholarship Awardees. I am honored to be part of the Maryland Arts Day over the last 6 years. Thank you for including me every year. This is my 7th. I miss seeing all of you in person, but I applaud you for celebrating this virtually for everyone's safety. I am so proud of our state, wonderful arts community, and grateful to be part of the state that fully supports that arts and understands how important they are. The power of art is critical more than ever facing the COVID-19. We have come to realize again that art is a wonderful tool to spread hope, no matter who we are or where we are from. Art treats us equally, provides comfort and healing, and helps us to express ourselves during time of the stress and the pain due to COVID-19. We cannot meet each other in person, but the arts connect all of us together. Art has no boundaries, and its impact is everywhere as long as we work together. All of you help make that possible. Thanks to you, Maryland's arts community, we will continue its success and get through this tough time together. Please enjoy and stay healthy, safe, and strong until we'll see each other face to face. Congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you again, First Lady Hogan. And as we all know, she's such a great supporter. And once again, she sends her regrets to not see us all in person, but we can feel, as you can say, feel and have heard, feel her support for us and the joy that we bring her in the work that we do. So I always like to use this time to recognize that our advocacy work is not possible without all of you on this call that are taking the time to join a virtual advocacy session, a virtual advocacy arts day, but also we partner with some incredible allies, conspirators, collaborators, if you will, to advance what we're trying to do, which is ensure that just arts is an accessible human right for all of us in this state, and that we keep improving and we keep providing and making the lives of all Marylanders just that much better. So first, I'd like to recognize Maryland Volunteer Lawyers for the Arts. They are dedicated to protecting Maryland artists' legal rights through pro bono legal referrals and education. They offer fantastic free and low-cost services to our Maryland artist community. So again, if you're an artist and you're looking for legal advice or anything like that, contractual issues, check them out. They're amazing. I just saw Caitlin say hey. So hey, Caitlin from there, from MDVLA. Feel free to, Caitlin, if you got some stuff you want to share in the chat, go right ahead as far as links and stuff, not to put you on the spot. But I want to thank their executive director as well, Adam Hofcenter. Really honored always to work with that guy. Anytime I've got a legal issue, I try and keep it to the arts, not personal. But no, I'm always reaching out to him. And he just, the whole team does such great work to engage artists, to make sure that they're represented in what can be a really challenging, the legal world is tough and it can be expensive too. And they help to remove barriers. So a lot of respect and appreciation for what they do. Also, I'd like to thank our advocacy partners in the Baltimore region, the Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance, and their executive director, Jeannie Howe, and their entire team. If you don't know, and maybe a spoiler alert, we're going to be recognizing an incredible member of their team for their long time work, but I won't spoil the fun. We'll wait to that for a few more slides if you don't know yet. But look, Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance, they do such important work and supporting the arts in and around the Baltimore region. Part of their ethos is championing policies and practices that empower a just and inclusive art sector. And they're the type of folks that we want to work with, that we want to help. We advance the same things and we think alike. And really their advocacy work is critical to the Baltimore region's art success and vibrancy. And it really helps us build that alliance and that coalition so that we can show people that we can have over 400 people on a Zoom call. And I think almost take down Zoom, which is I think what happened a few minutes ago. Okay, so Maryland Citizens for the Arts is proud to work with our partners at Arts Education in Maryland Schools. And they work to mobilize the arts community to ensure that every single child has a robust arts education in the classroom. And they also do so much more than that. And they have an incredible executive director and their entire staff. I love working with them. But I'd like to actually welcome up my friend of mine, a colleague, conspirator, a champion of the arts and arts education. Honored to work with her, Quanice Floyd. So Quanice, if you can step up and say a few words.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. So my name is Quanice Floyd. I am the Executive Director of Arts Education in Maryland Schools. And just to think of, if you haven't heard of us before, just to think about who we are, Maryland Citizens for the Arts is our twin. And so I didn't want to use gender terms, but just our twin. And so we focus more on the arts education side of policy. And Maryland Citizens for the Arts focuses on, the statewide legislation for MSAC and all of that. So we are twins. So me and Nick go hand in hand with one another. And so I'm really, really great to be here. Next slide, please. I see some people shouting out my chair. Yes, NewYorkThrones.com. So please check it out. They have great sales. AIMS is an organization that is dedicated to mobilizing power to communities. So we do that through advocacy programs, professional and leadership programs, and resource building and sharing. And we imagine an education system in Maryland that supports, cultivates, nurtures, and uplifts all students' creativity through a robust arts education. Next slide, please. So thinking about some of the things that we're doing in our programs and initiatives for advocacy, we are in multiple educational coalitions. We work really hard to ensure that education and education advocates are pushing for arts education to be a part of a holistic, well-rounded education for our students. We want to ensure that there are a lot of bills that are going through and that arts education is included in those bills. And so during general session, I work with Nick hand in hand to just talk about some strategy as to how we approach senators and delegates in the legislative body. We also have a online platform called Artlook Maryland, and this is an opportunity for us to actually survey the landscape, right? To see what's going on around the state in regards to arts education in our schools, and to do something about it. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the presentation, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there now. AIMS is working towards becoming an anti-racist organization. And so recently we had an anti-racism symposium for arts education that happened in November. We plan on continuing these type of events. And we're also working with the Maryland State Department of Education to host the AREAL, which is Anti-Racist Educators for the Arts Learning Lab. And so we're trying to empower educators to go into that classroom and institute anti-racist strategies and instructional curriculum so that students can feel welcomed, they can feel included in their arts classrooms every day. And then last but not least, within resource sharing and building, Ames is working with Maryland Citizens for the Arts to host our first campaign school, which means we are going to look for folks who are interested in running for political office. We need to be in these seats. We need to be in these positions because they need to hear from us. So if you're interested, Nicholas and I are going to release some information later on in the spring about this. And we need to be in those seats. We need to be at those tables, helping push policies to ensure that artists and arts educators have a seat at that table so that we can create policies for our communities. So please, please, please keep an eye out for that. And then we also have a number of advocacy toolkits for families, for school leaders. And so please check out our website, which is ames-edu.org. I think I saw someone put it in the chat. If not, I'll pull it again in the chat in a couple of minutes. Next slide, please. We always want to hear from you. I come from a very collective core value, and I grew up with collectivism kind of at the center of the work that I do. And so Ames wants to hear from you. If there are issues with arts education in your community, please reach out to us. We have office hours. We also have opportunities for educators to participate in the council. We have an ambassadors program for folks who are interested in volunteering. We have an incident report that you can fill out. If there's any issues that you hear about arts education on a school level, a community level, a district level, a state level, please reach out to us. Next slide, please. And last but not least, if you are an arts organization, we would love for you to sign up for Artlook Maryland. As I stated before, Artlook Maryland is an online free platform. So if you have if you provide arts education experience to Maryland Public Schools, please feel free to reach out to us and sign up at bit.ly/arts partner sign up, and we'll put that link in the chat as well. I'm not sure if you're following up with folks, Nicholas, but I'll make sure and send those links to you as well so you can send to folks. But we want to have you all as a part of the platform so that we can help solve these equity issues in our public schools with arts education. And last slide. And again, I love hearing from people. You all drive me to do this work. And so please feel free to reach out to me. I'm qfloyd@ames-edu.org. Please, please, please. I love listening to people. I love talking with people. If you just want to chat and vent about what's going on at your job, that's okay. I love building relationships. I want to be your BFF forever, okay? So thank you so much for having me up here, and break a leg today. We're talking to our delegates and our senators. It's time to excuse my language, kick ass and take names, but we got to do what we got to do. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Quanice. Let's give Quanice and the whole Ames team a little bit of love. Use the reaction bar even in your Zoom, maybe some hand claps or some go Quanices, some hearts. I got to be honest. I love working with Quanice and her whole team. As you heard, the energy that Quanice just showed right now is not just for presenting; it's every day. And I hope she knows this, but what we meet every couple of weeks, and her energy when we talk really it's uplifting to me. It helps guide my work, and it's really, really great to have a colleague like Quanice in this work. And so I'm just blown away by what they're doing. And we're all so lucky to have her advocating for education, arts education. We really, really are. So thank you, Quanice, and the entire team. Of course, I always like to recognize a really critical part of what we do and the kind of connection to the Maryland State Arts Council. Our county arts agencies of Maryland are known as CAM. They represent each of the 23 counties in Baltimore City here in our state. And the great part about how sort of the CAM relationship and the State Arts Council relationship is that it's this really streamlined process where state investment that goes to the State Arts Council then gets invested in county arts agencies, which then goes to the boots on the ground community organizations, artists, arts organizations. And so what it does is each council helps ensure that every inch of Maryland really has fantastic and accessible arts programming. They're sort of the sounding board for their community. They know what their community is about. They know what their needs are. And they work really, really, really hard to build coalitions to make sure that they can champion also localized funding in their counties. And I'm really blown away by how much advocacy they do locally to really make sure that every county, also their county executives or the mayor in the Baltimore's case, provides funding for the arts. I'd also like to recognize their wonderful current chair, Susan Jenkins, who's also an MCA trustee and just a wonderful person in the arts, an advocate in her own right. And she is the executive director of the Arts and Humanities Council of Montgomery County. Definitely give her some love and appreciation on Zoom, because she works so hard in Montgomery County. She works so hard leading the statewide scene for CAM, and another person I'm really honored to work with and to share her energy. So again, when you see your county arts council directors and the staff, whether it's today in the delegation rooms or just as they're funding your programs or as you're working with them, appreciate what they do. Know that they work really hard day in and day out to get us the investment that we need. So thank you again to CAM. Of course, so here we are. Our education and advocacy today is absolutely in service to the work and dedication of the Maryland State Arts Council. As we're here, arts advocates championing the importance of public investment for the arts in Maryland, our friends and colleagues at the State Arts Council, well, they're working to invest in our communities, and they're ensuring that funding comes to us in every single corner, as I just mentioned. Our continued and strong advocacy, it's really helped to educate lawmakers. I think you've probably all heard when the lawmakers that just spoke, they know what's going on. They're giving us they're working to provide us with emergency funding. They're talking about how BRFA items are affecting us. So it's working. That's how you know it's working, when lawmakers start talking about the issues that are affecting us and our budget. So the Arts Council has helped to not just bring that dollar investment, but really the professionalize our industry in a sense of providing professional development to help folks go through different programs, providing resources. It's not just about getting a dollar. It's about also saying, well, what else do we need to do to make what we do better, to make sure that we're a good community for everybody, that we're including folks that maybe haven't been included before. That's critical. We can't just do what we used to. We have to go to what's called maybe a new normal, and they're helping to lead that charge. Also critically important has been their emergency support for our entire sector through the granting of over $7 million economic relief since April of 2020. Their quick action at the start of the pandemic ensured that organizations and artists were able to receive much needed economic relief. Additionally, over the last 10 months, the Arts Council has convened the Governor's Arts Recovery Task Force, held dozens of listening sessions, and they've offered professional development workshops to all of us to help build and continue our work, even during these most difficult and challenging times. So I'd like to recognize and thank their executive director, Ken Shkashesh, their passionate board chair, Julie Madden, the wonderful state arts counselors who represent all parts of Maryland in the arts, and especially their incredible and dedicated staff. I would be surprised if not everyone on this call probably knows a staff person of the State Arts Council. They work so hard because they believe in the investment and the dedication of what we're also doing on the ground. They're there to help. They're also lovely people who really believe in making the arts in Maryland the best, and helping us, and also making sure that people that need to get support are getting it. And they're also introspective in saying how they can be better. So again, thanks to their incredibly dedicated staff. I wish I could ask you all to stand up, but that just, if you see them, maybe give them some love, some Zoom claps, and just thank them for their work. I do want to share, there's a neat short video I'm going to share that the Arts Council produced with our awesome friends at Wide Angle Youth Media, who are, that's an awesome group, by the way, in Baltimore City, that works with young folks in the city and helps them get into the film industry, really. So can't say enough about Wide Angle, but here's the video about Maryland creatives.
We are still here. We're dancing and designing. We're sculpting and singing. We're reading and writing. We're painting and playing. We're creating. We are Maryland artists, and we are ready and waiting.
All right, again, thank you to everyone at the State Arts Council. It's always appreciated, and we can't wait to get you even more investment to continue your great work. So now I'd like to move to the Sue Hess Legacy Maryland Arts Advocate of the Year Award. This is named in honor of MCA's first chair of the Board of Trustees, a co-founder and its longest served member. The award recognizes individuals whose advocacy efforts have significantly increased support for the arts in Maryland. As we all sadly know, Sue passed away on April 1st of 2020. And actually one of, or if not her last public appearance was this time last year at Maryland Arts Day when she presented this award. That day was so important to her, and she was determined to fight through her pain and present to, and in her words, she wanted to present just another great arts champion and fighter. After Maryland Arts Day, I actually had the chance to speak with her a few days before her passing. And she talked about just how much this day, Maryland Arts Day, meant to her, how great it was to see so many people here. And so I know, hopefully she sees this in some spiritual form. I like to think of that personally, because I know this would bring her lots of joy to see all incredible faces on here. And if you knew Sue, you knew that she would much rather you celebrate her than mourn her loss. And truly, this award will continue to honor her legacy while acknowledging the incredible advocates that are doing the work and continuing the fight, in her words. And as you're going to hear, today's Arts Advocate Award winners are incredible community grassroots advocates in their own right. They're moving and shaking just the world. I really mean that too. They're incredible people. And so I'd actually like to thank the nominating committee, chaired by MCA Events Committee member Denise Gant from the Lyric, and she was joined by Joan Lyon from the State Arts Council, Daniel Singh from the Office of Baltimore County, and April Nyman from the Arts Council of Anne Arundel County. So thank you all to the nominations committee. Thank you all to the numerous nominations we received. But now I'd actually like to welcome our chair of the nominations committee, Denise Gant, to welcome the winners. Denise, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Nicholas, and good morning, everyone. Also want to thank the members of the nominating committee. This is a great and unusual year, as we know, because we actually have 3 awardees this year. Our first awardee is Kibibi Ajanku, who is a multifaceted artist. She makes and presents ethically charged art because her passion embodies the thrust of the African diaspora. Her work is eclectic and innovative. It is ancient while at the same time new world and always changing, becoming artistry that is layered with and entrenched in indigenous folk ways. Kibibi Ajanku is known broadly as the founder of Baltimore-based Sankofa Dance Theater. Since 1989, her company has featured elements of the distant past, existing present, and imagined future, all drenched in the traditions of the historical Mali dynasty. Under her direction, the group has exhibited New World costuming and choreography with a nuance that embodies authentic traditions of West Africa. Ajanku believes that when presented properly, art is the perfect vehicle to move forward into greater intercultural awareness for the global community. To that end, Kibibi Ajanku curates and guides the elements of the Urban Arts Leadership Initiative for the Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance, where she serves as Equity and Inclusion Director. Kibibi is also the Urban Arts Professor for a rotating cohort of students at Coppin State University and serves as the Resident Artist Researcher for the Maryland Institute College of Art Fibers Department. Let's give Ms. Ajanku some arousing applause, but since we're virtual, we also hope that you will give her warm congratulations for all of her accomplishments. Kabibi Ajanku.
And I'm gonna stop the share real quick. I know Kabibi has some slides that she wanted to share. So Kabibi, I'll welcome you up and you can feel free to share your screen.
Okay, I just wanted to say before I share my screen, good morning, everybody. Thank you very much, Denise. Thank you very much, Nicholas. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm honored to be a recipient of this award. And I am also honored to be part of a cohort. Usually there's one awardee. This year, there's a gangbuster group of us, right? Kay, Mama Rashida, we go back a long, long time. We have been sister friends, and we have just been co-conspirators. We have been just kind of carving ways into the art sector in our own way, our own time, by our own time, just for maybe since yesterday, because we're so young. But I'm so honored to be in group with them. I'm also really honored to be in group with Aaron Mabin as well, because I love him like a son. So, and we go back quite a ways too, to when he was a little boy. So anyway, this is an award that recognizes those who have advocacy efforts that have significantly increased the support for public recognition of the arts in Maryland. That is huge. And it's kind of mind-blowing. And I'm again thankful to be recognized in that capacity. If you think about Black art, all Black art, whether it is the written word, the printed word, in any kind of way, on stage or on the walls, what we're talking about is elements of identity and trying to humanize our experience and our struggle in the world where people have been indifferent to who we are. It's basically just a way of saying that our lives have meaning. This is a quote that's coming from Cheo Hodari Coker, and he is the journalist, the music journalist turned television screenwriter and the producer of the series Luke Cage. So there's a lot of effort and a lot of work going on. And I don't want to say much. I've got a slide to share so that I can keep myself in my time limit. Nicholas asked me to say a little bit about myself and how I work and what gives meaning to it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if you don't mind. But it's disabled and it says I can't. It says I can't see.
1 second. Might be a...
Try it now.
We're not... Oh boy. Let me see if I can.
QBB, try it now.
Try it now. There we are. There, up. I lost it. It was there for a minute. Something happened. Nope. Nope. I saw it for a minute and then it went away. This is not my screen. This is someone else's screen.
Okay, no problem. I think what we'll do, sorry, Kabibi. As we know, technology sometimes gets the best of us, and me as well, especially. I actually have, as you know, your slides. Yeah. So I will put it up and then you can just...
I'll just tell you when to click, that's fine.
I'm happy to do that. Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone, here we go. Okay.
Here we go.
Is that up for you now?
It is up for me. Can you put it in screen share mode?
Yes.
This is in the Google Drive. It's going to look different.
Yeah, here we go. There we go.
It works.
Yep, there we go. That should be.
Can you go back to the beginning? Let's see if it works. It's going to look different. It's going to do a couple of different things. But if you guys, if everyone in the audience just love me like I am, right? All right, so across a myriad of current events, we're searching for ways to express how intentionally obscured history and legacy can be experienced authentically through African-American contemporary artistry. In the gallery, we contemplatively regard objects placed on walls in quiet reverence, and often those same objects are permeated with deep meaning. Oftentimes, the work is about more than meets the eye. Work that coincides with and stands in juxtaposition to behaviors that confront humanity. At its core, it is about the spirit of overcoming inequities through the power of artistry. Much has changed, yet much remains the same. So my work is about convergence and identity. I do this, keep going, click, by making and presenting ethnically charged art. As you know, I'm a visual artist, a performing artist, and an activist artist. Social justice is embodied in the messaging of all that I do, and it takes shape in the following ways. Next slide. The intersections may seem like a lot. As a performing artist, there is Sankofa Dance Theater. As a curator, there is, for me, the Bierman Gallery, where I'm the resident curator. As an educator, there's my work with the Urban Arts Leadership Initiative. At Coppin with the Fine Arts Department, teaching urban arts as a way that feeds into urban arts leadership. At Micah in the Fibers Department, creating work and touching students in ways that speak to the intersection of African elements in regard to indigo, through chattel slavery, and up into current times as it shows up in African American contemporary art. As a visual artist, it's through my personal practice. As an arts activist, again, through GBCA, the Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance, and my personal practice. But it's not the combination, the sum total of these things in concert. Those are the things that are important. It is the combination, the sum total of these things in concert. That's what's important. Next slide, please. So as you know, and I can't say it too many times, I make and present Afrocentric art. Keep going. My work takes shape in motion through costuming on the bodies. Next slide. In fiber, sometimes through costuming, sometimes in ways that can live on walls. Next slide. And sometimes straight out of the indigo vat. Next slide. In truth, my work is a convergence. It's a convergence of material, time, and place. It's a convergence of African diaspora worldview. It's a convergence of past, present, and future. Next slide. This convergence is an intersection that shows up not only in many forms, but in many places as well. Next slide. In the gallery, through exhibitions. Sometimes they're exhibitions of my work, sometimes they're opportunities that I am able to give to emerging artists. Sometimes it is my honor to be able to showcase artists that have a deep reservoir of legacy and history in their work, in their practice, and in the way they've shared with the world at large. Next slide. For the classroom. And sometimes that classroom is in the Motor House under the umbrella of the Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance, where we're able to bring in people who represent legacy in the arts sector where we're able to go and touch the arts sector through cultural tours and trips. And sometimes it shows up in the classroom of universities. You've heard me say that already. Next slide, please. In community. Oftentimes just kind of gigging and hanging with people. That is over in the upper right corner. That's Guy Davis, the son of Ossie Davis, Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis. And that is Chris. He is a mandolin player. We're at Western Maryland at McDaniel College, where there's a residency that goes on annually. Here in the middle, there is a connection of a group called Common Ground, also at McDaniel College. Indigo dyeing workshops for communities, just in any way that gathers community surrounding the arts. That is empowering, that is building, that is wonderful. Next slide, please. For the arts sector, in the first slide, you see GBCA out on location. This was at a festival in Cherry Hill, and Marilyn Mosby was there, but we were talking about service to the community. We were talking about arts in community. We were talking about uplifting community through arts. And so that was out in the arts sector, for the arts sector. A gathering of directors, of leaders to network, break bread. And then even times when we get to see the eclipse, sometimes that's just the artistry or the service to the arts. Next slide, please. The translation for me is that everything I do points to identity. The convergence is the linkage that pulls it all together. Everything working together toward one unified goal. The production of work steeped in identity is a resistance element, an aggressive element. It is a refusal, it is an affirmation, and it is an assertion all at once. I am an activist artist working for social justice. I stand on the shoulders of the past through artistry that is rich, diverse, and creative. It is ancient while at the same time cutting edge and always, always changing. It is my hope that the sum total of my work is experienced as a practice, a service, and a portal that messages and inspires steps towards a more balanced and inclusive way of existence. Next slide. In closing, I've chosen these 3 quotes. Angela Bassett said recently, "Don't settle for average. Bring your best to the moment. Then, whether it fails or succeeds, at least you know you gave all you had. We need to live the best that's in us." Janelle Monáe says, "Embrace what makes you unique, even if it makes others uncomfortable. I didn't have to become perfect because I've learned throughout my journey that perfection is the enemy of greatness." Michelle Obama, "You may not always have a comfortable life, and you will not always be able to solve all the world's problems at once, but don't ever underestimate the importance you have, because history has shown us that courage can be contagious and hope can take on a life of its own." Next slide. I thank you. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Kabibi. Let's give Kabibi lots of love in the chat. What a wonderful speech. It's great. Again, congratulations. It's an honor to hear your words. And I guess I'll go back to Denise as we will welcome our next winners.
Okay, thank you so much, Kabibi. And our second awardees are Mama K. Lawal Muhammad and Mama Rashida Foreman Bay, founders and co-artistic directors of Wombwork Productions, Inc. Wombwork Productions is a Baltimore-based 501c3 social change theater company. Their performances tackle relevant social issues that are endemic throughout the world, including gun violence, domestic abuse, grief, drug, alcohol abuse, gang violence, HIV prevention, sexual assault, health disparities, and racial inequities. For over 25 years, Wombworks community programs have served to enrich local neighborhoods throughout cultural programs that incorporate theater, yoga, spirituality, traditional African dance, drumming, and also singing. The two co-directors. So the first person I like to introduce is Mama K. Lawal Muhammad, who has performed around the world on stages from New York to Edinburgh, Scotland, Amsterdam to Kenya. She blends artistry with activism and was a founding director of Actors Against Drugs, Uumba Women's Theater Company, and also, as we know, Wombwork Productions, Inc. A dramatic as well as a comedic performer, Ms. Lawal Muhammad appeared in the Emmy Award-winning episode of the television series Homicide. Other television performance appearances include America's Most Wanted, The Corner, and The Wire. One of Ms. Lawal Muhammad's most acclaimed productions was her long-running comic partnership with the provocative comedy team, the Thunder Thigh Review, starring her and also artist Joyce Scott. And that troupe, they toured around the United States, Canada, and Europe. She's also known as simply Mama K to thousands of youths and families who have participated in the life-changing experiences that the work of Wombwork Productions provides. Wombwork runs 3 ensembles, which Kay is co-artistic director of: New World Arts Ensemble for ages 18 and up, New Generation Art Ensemble for 13 to 17-year-olds, and Next Generation for young people between the ages of 5 and 12. 5 and 12. And then we have co-artistic director and founder, Mama Rashida Foreman Bay, who is a director, actress, teaching artist, community activist, songwriter, storybook author, and Master Virtues Project facilitator. Mama Rashida is known in the community and is a native of Baltimore, Maryland. She conducts character building and professional development workshops across the United States, primarily targeting youth facilitators, college students, and adults. These workshops have included facilitating trainings in African rites of passage and also with the Virtues Project International. She is currently a Distinguished Community Arts Fellow and graduate student at Maryland Institute College of Art, and a teaching artist and professional development facilitator with young audiences of Maryland. Please give Mama K and Mama Rashida a rounding applause, and also some much deserved love in the chat. Mama Rashida and Mama K.
Wow, that was so explosively beautiful. I forgot I did all that great stuff. I'm Mama K, everybody. And Mama Rashida. It would be remiss of us not to mention Mama Walk on Water, Natasha Hassan Hummingbird, who was our third partner, who helped to come up with this creativity. I'd like to acknowledge her too for her native blood. So we always called on our native community. We always explored that part of our lives, as well as our African selves. So I always want to give great acknowledgement to our sister, Mama Walk on Water, who helped to build our company, Wombwork Productions.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mama.
So how are we doing this? We just talking? What's happening?
We're gonna talk first. We're gonna just share a little bit. Hey y'all, we're gonna
I need a menu. I want to go out to eat and talk. Look, I miss it.
WOMBWORK, Wombwork.
Wombwork. Yeah.
Listen, thank you to Maryland Citizens for the Arts for awarding us the Sue Hess Award, and we give thanks for this recognition. Mama Kay, put your glasses on.
I'm gonna put my glasses on, and I'm gonna try to, you know, we started out in 1997 as mothers and artists who wanted to make a difference in our community particularly. Thus the birth of Womb Work Productions, because life begins in this great incubation period of womb building in the womb, even as we did our sweat lodge work and did all of our spiritual work. We acknowledge this womb as being the resting place, the beginning of it all. And that is how Mama Walk on Water came up, and we all came up with the name Womb Work. Everybody wants to know that, I know, womb. So Mama Rashida, we included African dance, acting, singing, you name it, we did it. Costume making, we had to make everything ourselves anyway. Comedy, Mama Rashida, just blend in.
And I tell you, we were really three artists who really wanted to make a difference in our community. You know, and we knew that the arts and the power of the arts to heal. First of all, we had our process is like an elixir. We made these really great productions, but it really was the process that was most powerful, right? We took the words of the community, the wisdom of the community. Yes, the wisdom, because in the community, we realized there is wisdom. And we took that, real life stories, factual information, and we blended that together with poetry, hip hop, dance, song, theater, drumming, meditation, all of that. And then we added solutions from that wise community again, right? And what you get is a healing balm. Healing happened because we know, and you also get a radical voice that does what art does, heals. That's what we knew. And that's what happened. I also wanted to say that I know I'm so grateful for Womb Work, just me personally, that I was blessed to be able to blend my love for the arts with my love for service, because serving my community was important to me. And Mama Kay, you kind of knew firsthand the arts kind of helped guide you through some difficult times. I know we talked about
yeah, you know, my time in work with Joyce Scott and the Thunderfire Review began my introspection. I had a serious addiction problem, and the arts are what helped me, a part of what helped me to heal, along with treatment centers. Let's keep it real. And this process kept it this alive for me in helping others with these sort of challenges, creating theatrical productions that dealt with the horrors within our community, health issues, topical issues, and how we could resurrect from them and heal from them. So that was the energy of, and then our own children, my own children were in the company, all of our own personal children, learning these things, growing, finding ways to grow up. And now they're in the process of taking over as we walk to the fields of old Womb Work Hill. Womb Work Hill. They about to kick us out. That's what's about to happen.
So listen, but for real, we're so grateful to be able to utilize the arts to help others get through their difficult times and to navigate and to have their voices heard. Harry Belafonte said, and I thought this was so profound, I went to see him. He said, artists are keepers of the truth. Artists are civilization's radical voice. And he said, our nation is hungry for their radical voice. And I'm just really happy that through Womb Work, we've been able to create sacred spaces to allow those radical voices to be heard. I'm so grateful for that. We're grateful for this time. I guess, Nicholas, we wanted to show a little bit of that video tape. Mama Kay, did you want to say something else?
Well, I wanted to say that not only did we heal, and this is important, not only did we help with the thousands and thousands of young people that have worked with us and continue to work with us, it was a healing process. But not just for the people that came, for us, for the entire community. We became like a mirror to see how what that process was like. And these children are like our children. We began to raise them in many ways. And I just am excited. I acknowledge you, Mama.
And they raised us too.
They helped to raise us. That's the truth. But I just want to thank you, acknowledge you, Denise Gant, and all of these folks that were a part of our life within this company and watched us grow. Kabibi, who, you know, Kabibi, we just like almost one big organization, actually. And, you know, it's just wonderful to be acknowledged. And we thank you all. I want to, my cohort, Joyce Scott, who pushed me when no one thought they could push my big butt anywhere, but she did push me. I did want to do a shout out to Joyce. That's my darling.
Absolutely.
Homework really means to go inside. To nurture yourself, and for us to nurture these young people until they're ready to be able to go out into the world for themselves.
And New World Art Ensemble is a mentoring program. We train young people to be able to work with young people that have serious issues, problems with mental illness, drug addiction. Many of our young people who come to our programs are infected with HIV. And of course, we and creatively give them back to the community by adding dance, song, music.
And those stories are translated into performances that the New World Ensemble puts together. What has happened to them in Baltimore? How has Baltimore affected their life?
To color these stories for the community to see themselves, make changes where necessary. And we're preparing young people to be healers.
I felt like at home, you know, not just because I was able to do some of the things that I wanted to do, but it was like they opened their arms to us, you know, they embrace each and every youth that comes into this program.
For some of our young people who have issues about how to handle relationships,
right.
You know, how to deal with the anger control, and this theater, the arts help you to be able to deal with all aspects of your life.
They say, you know, working with young people is one of the toughest jobs to have, you know. But really, I believe it's not. I think you just have to find a way to relate to the young people, you know, make whatever you're doing interesting to them.
We often protect our kids from the adult world and adult situations and things that are problems in the world and things that are wrong. We think that we should shelter our kids from that. And at Bloomwork, you have kids as young as 8 years old. I think the youngest kid right now is probably 8. Talking about adult problems and really handling it in a creative way where it's not destructive and it's a positive environment.
We never help ourselves. We love it badly. Each of us are trained to attack certain types of infection. We work as a team.
When I first came into New World, I was really like, I didn't know who I was. Like, I was really quiet. I was suffering from like mild depression. And I didn't have anybody to talk to how I felt. I didn't have anybody to talk to. When I came to New World, they forced me to step outside of myself. They forced me to open myself up. They forced me to talk. And since then, I just been me. The me that I actually like, not the me.
I think that's really the most powerful part of it all, really. The performances, but I think learning to work with community members that are struggling, that are dealing with daily life struggles, it really becomes the most powerful points of New World.
You learn a lot of things. You help a lot of people because we do community type acting, things that's going on in the community. It's like outreach.
Come on, Baltimore, let's make a change.
Well, I think that's a good place to stop, maybe, Rashida, and say our farewells. I didn't want it to go on forever. I know you have so many. I'm always thinking of, you know, how long the day would be. But I just wanted to acknowledge and again say we are virtue facilitators, master facilitators, and the virtues, every virtue I can think of is around this space. So we are of the depths of gratitude for this acknowledgement. And everyone that you called, and I know that's going to be coming up, really is deserving of the hard work that they've done over the years. So we thank you. If we had 1,000 tongues, we couldn't thank you enough. Wow, if I had 1,000 tongues, I could be any, oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop there. I think I'm going over and maybe even inappropriate at this point. All right, I'm gone. I will stop now.
You know, she's a comedian. Hey, chaotic. All right, love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I want to stay on and listen about more. Thank you.
Mama Rashida, Mama Kay, thank you for your words. But more importantly, truly, thank you for the work that you do in Baltimore City, empowering whether it's the youth, the community, everyone, and inspiring us. I'm inspired, and the award is more than merited for the work that you do. So congratulations, and we posted some information about WombWorks in the chat. Please check them out. Please support their work. And that means whether it's volunteering or some donations, that's great too, because that's important. We got to support all of us through this work. So thank you all. Thanks for the work that you do, and congratulations again. So now I'm actually really excited and honored to welcome today's keynote speaker, Aaron Mabin. Aaron, I believe, is a definition of a grassroots arts advocate and activist. His work takes words into action, and he champions the arts as an activist and educator to turn it into a tool for social change and justice. Through his program, Project Mayhem, and as a Baltimore City teacher, Aaron has implemented arts workshops and curriculums into several schools that have had budget cuts due to a lack of state funding. He co-founded Operation Heat Campaign, raising over $90,000 for schools struggling with heating issues in the wintertime. As an arts teacher in the city, he continues to advocate for public policy to see arts programs restored in the schools and more economic opportunities provided for the underprivileged people of Baltimore. And on a personal note, I have the privilege of being Aaron's neighbor, and I truly enjoy our time stooping outside and talking public policy and advocacy by the neighborhood fire pit. It's really a great time. But I want you to hear if you haven't heard from him yet, he's a great, great guy, does incredible work. And that said, please give a Zoom warm arts welcome for our keynote speaker, Mr. Aaron Mabin.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was an intro. Appreciate it, Nick. Wow, man. I'm extremely humbled right now. For one, let me first start by saying thank you to Maryland Citizens for the Arts, the State Arts Council, to everybody that has been involved in making this day happen virtually, making it a success. I can't tell you guys how inspired I am just sitting here. Almost feel as though I'm still able to sit at the feet of my ancestors. I was listening to Mama Kabibi speak, and obviously I'd be remiss if I didn't give a huge resounding shout out to her, because if ever there was an example of why a day like today and initiatives like arts advocacy are so important, you know, she embodies it. Without people like her, without people like my mentor, Larry Poncho Brown, who she had a painting of his sitting above her as she was sitting there talking, I don't know that I'm here today. I don't know that I am an artist. I don't know that my life would have ended up going down that same path. I actually participated in Sankofa dance productions when I was a kid. I was somebody that, you know, grew up on the west side of Baltimore in, you know, a neighborhood similar to the ones that we see depicted on shows like The Wire and things of that nature. And during my childhood, anybody that knew me at that age knew how rambunctious and energetic and just full of life I was. And at that point in time, I was going through a very tumultuous time in my life. I had just lost my mother. And for any kid that is growing up and is navigating through the process of finding yourself and your identity and learning things about the world in which you're living, but you're doing so without such a pivotal piece of your life. You know, I started to struggle with a whole lot of different behavioral problems, a whole lot of different emotional problems. That was my first introduction to what would be a lifelong bout with depression and anxiety and a whole lot of other emotional issues that really could pull at the fabric of a person. But during that time, I found art, and I found my voice through the arts. I found my voice in my expression. I found the outlet to vent about my pain, about the things that I was struggling with. I found a tool and a resource to help me to slow my world down and to look at the environment around me in a different way, to be present. And those were things that I don't think that I would have been able to grasp as firmly had it not been for my introduction to the arts. And people like Larry Pancho Brown, people like Mama Kabibi really actually played a pivotal role at a very young and transformative time in my life in developing me, you know, not just as an artist, but as a young man, as a young Black man, growing up in a world and in an environment that causes you to wrestle with every aspect of your identity, you know. And I would look around at my peers and I would see elements of my life that they weren't necessarily able to grasp and understand. They wouldn't really understand my love for the arts. They wouldn't really understand my dedication of my time and my energy towards all of these different organizations and things like that, that caused me to be able to really dive into my creative side. And I didn't realize until I got older that they were missing out on those very pivotal life lessons and aspects of their cultural and intellectual development that I was receiving. And at the end of the day, people like Kabibi, people like Pancho, people like Charles Bibbs, people like Dr. Karen Buster, those are people that have sown their life, their inspiration, their stories, their history into me as a kid. They planted seeds that I had no idea how they would blossom and bloom later on in my life. But now when I turn around and I look at my life today, and I look at the fact that I am an educator, the fact that I am an artist, the fact that I am an author, the fact that I am a community organizer, all of those seeds were seeds that were sown into fertile soil by people that understood that it wasn't just about them having the ability to practice and perform and present their artwork to the world, but they had to provide a pathway to success and a blueprint of what that could look like for a generation of kids that were coming behind them, that were going through the exact same things that they went through at a young age, but were not being gifted and equipped with the same exact tools that would have allowed them the skills to be able to navigate through it the same way that they did. So I am actually the byproduct of the life's work of so many that decided to dedicate their lives to something that was bigger than themselves. So when I look at my life's work, I actually still look at my life as an extension of those that made those investments in me. I always say to my students that we continuously day to day stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, you know, and we're standing on shoulders of giants, you know, and I truly believe that without people like Larry Pancho Brown, Karen Buster, without Kabibi, without so many that have sown into me, there is no Project Mayhem. There is no art activism, the workbook that is now being taught in 27 schools across the city of Baltimore. There is no curriculum that has been able to go into people's homes and into community centers and into police departments and jails and transform the lives of people that are finally getting introduced to the ideas of art therapy, the idea of art for social justice. I really think about that often when I think about the work that we do on the advocacy side. When I started my foundation in 2009, I did so out of a responsibility that I felt to pay it forward. Understanding the investments that were made in me in such a young age in my life, I understood that my life would have been on a completely different trajectory had the arts never been introduced. I understand that the symbiotic connection between the arts and every school subject, had I never gotten a grasp of that, I would have never became the type of student that I became later on in my academic career that allowed me to get scholarships to schools like Penn State that which I attended. So I think about all of the kids that are in school right now, all of the kids that I've taught, all of the kids that I write curriculum for, that I look to advocate for in the space of education. And I think about the lack of the exact same resources that were so transformative in my life, the lack of those opportunities in their school environment, the lack of those opportunities in their home environments, the lack of those opportunities in their communities. We talk about art accessibility. It almost seems like these are buzzwords that we use every 5 or 10 years or so. We talk about accessibility, we talk about equity, we talk about systemic issues that are in need of change, but the way that we go about addressing them is never as systemic as the way that they got to the point that they are. Understanding what those budget cuts did to our school, what the budget cuts did to our school system in 2008 and 2009. Understanding the reason why most of these schools had to have the art programs taken out in the first place. Understanding the reason why artists like myself, instead of practicing our craft, instead of going all over the world and exhibiting our work, focusing on furthering our career, we're spending the majority lion's share of our time here in Baltimore creating pathways to success for the next generation of creators, because we understand that despite this transformative, groundbreaking time that we're in right now, where you have New York Times best-selling authors from the city of Baltimore that are getting international acclaim like Dee Watkins. You have photographers like a Devin Allen, who's on the cover of Time magazine and coming out with the first shoe line that a photographer has ever had for Under Armour. These are groundbreaking, transformative accomplishments. You look at the accomplishments of Do More, Be More poets, national champions, I think 5-6 years running. You know, this city and the people in it, the kids in it, the youth in it are cloaked in excellence and greatness. They're cloaked in innovation and creativity. And in spite of the talent, the investment into teaching them how to hone that skill, not just to give the world entertainment or give the world artistry, but to actually give the world the innovative and transformative gifts that they have. If we don't create those pathways to success, if we don't actually teach them how to hone those skills, we're depriving ourselves, we're depriving the world, we're depriving our city of all of our greatest gifts. So understanding that at a young age, I really made a decision that I was going to try to find a way to create what didn't exist. Understanding what the deficiencies are, understanding the position that our children are trying to get an education every single day, and understanding that the educational process and the curriculum that they're being taught was not created with them in mind and was not created with the intention of them becoming fully functional human beings. we have to understand that if that's the case, if they are literally in a system that is not set up for them to be fully functional when they come out of it, how do we address that? Not just from an advocacy standpoint, but from a legislative policy standpoint and from a curriculum standpoint. If we understand that the cultural representation in their educational system doesn't exist, then we need our creatives to actually be a part of the change process of what that looks like. So we need to create an educational process that's more equitable. So I really jumped knee deep into that work in 2009 when I came out of college, and I had no idea how deep that rabbit hole went when I got into it. I arrogantly thought that, you know, I had just gotten drafted in the first round of the NFL. I had $1 million check sitting in front of me. That obviously had to be enough to fix all of the city's problems, right? Obviously, I was 20 years old and very naive at the time, but about a year and a half into having my foundation and doing all of our programming, we really understood how behind the 8 ball we were and how far we had to go to actually try to start to make up some of that ground. And we understood that there was no way that without coalition building, without actually organizing around these issues with people, not just that cared, but that had connections and resources that would allow us to make the changes that we were fighting for, was absolutely necessary. We had to make sure that we didn't just spend time talking about what the problems were, because as I looked around, I saw too many people that were doing that. We're in the age now where everybody wants to get on social media and everybody wants to jump on their soapbox publicly and start talking about all of the problems without actually taking the time to roll up their sleeves and get their own hands dirty. And understanding that no changes were ever going to come until we got to that point, I found it necessary to go and try to find a way to build community around these issues with people that were just as passionate about it as I was. And over the last 10 years or so, we've really seen some transformative growth in some areas and and we've been able to accomplish some things. But I don't really have the ability to look at any of those as real progress, because when you look at it, catch up. And when you're being honest about the situation, our kids are still deprived of everything that they need in order to be able to get the kind of education they're deserving of. And when I think of not just their educational process, but their lifelong process of becoming fully functional human beings, we need to make sure that we're establishing pathways towards that end, not just in our schools and not just in institutions, but within community. And that starts with investing in community. And when you talk about the importance of today, the importance of holding our policymakers accountable and making sure that there is funding for these institutions and that there are opportunities for people that are in need of these services, it's so important that we understand that our advocacy actually is tied to something that is so much greater than ourselves. It's tied to the future opportunities of our youth. It's tied to their development. It's tied to their safety. You know, it's tied to their emotional IQs. You know, so we like to talk sometimes in very terms, in terms of what change looks like, how we can transform this city for the better. And I've always been of the mind that in order for us to truly transform this city for the better, we have to dedicate the bulk and majority of our resources, attention, and opportunity towards the people that are on the fringes of society, towards the people that are the most marginalized and oppressed among us, to those of us that are the most institutionally disenfranchised in the collective, you know, and at the end of the day, those communities are usually the ones that are largely left out of planning and discussion for investment, for opportunities, and for the empathy that is necessary to really see those changes take place. So my whole thing is, if we want to see that kind of heart exhibited in our most dangerous areas in the city, we have to show that heart. You know, we have to bring that empathy and understanding, and we have to be just as intentional with solutions as we have been in ignoring the problems for as long as they persisted, because none of these issues are new. So my whole thing is, as an artist and a creative, I understand the importance of my platform and my voice, especially as a former athlete. You know, people wouldn't be fighting so hard to control the narratives of these platforms and of these networks if it wasn't important. You know what I mean? And I've always been very intentional about making sure that if there's anything that's going to be done on my platform, if there's anything that I'm going to be participating in, that it be rooted in the development, upliftment, and betterment of my people, my community, and my city. And I think that there's so many artists that have answered that call and taken up that mantle. And I think that as inspiring as it is to see the creatives themselves standing up to the opportunity and answering the call, we need all of our citizens to be just as inspired. We need all of our citizens to be just as committed. We need all of our citizens to be just as agreeable to holding our policymakers accountable, to making sure that we hold one another accountable, to creating the future, to understanding that no changes are coming unless we make it so, to understanding that there is a collective responsibility among all citizens, among all artists, among all creatives, among all influencers, policymakers alike, to actually get involved, to find someone that's in need of mentorship and mentor them, to find somebody that's in need of resources and play the role of connecting those dots, to find somebody that is in need of food and to feed them. You know, that's not some esoteric job that's reserved for a privileged few. That is the responsibility of the collective. And my whole thing is, I was raised by a village. You know, my village was amazing. Kabibi was in my village. Pancho was in my village. Charles was in my village. You know, Karen was in my village. But it was a village. And everybody assumed responsibility in making sure that they did what was necessary to put me in a position to be successful. That's our job as a collective, you know, and when you look at the history of artists, we've always been the revolutionary thought leaders at the forefront of these transformative moments in culture and society, you know, and we're going through a time right now, we're going through a renaissance and a reawakening of consciousness and understanding that I don't think people understand the gravity and weight of this moment right now, but 10, 15, 20 years from now, we will look back at this moment and we will marvel at the art that was created, at the narratives that were preserved, at the accomplishments that were achieved. But we'll also look back at missed opportunities. We'll also look back and understand that there were chances for us to take this even further. And I really don't want to be one of those people that look back at this time, this transformative time that we're in, and look back with regrets because we didn't maximize on how much we could accomplish in the here and now, when everybody actually cares and everybody actually says that we want to be a part of what this change looks like. So I'm always looking at the past with a mind to the present and where we're going in the future. You know, and it seems like as amazing a time as it is to be a creator, it's also quite depressing, because as I sit at the feet of my elders and my ancestors, and we share stories and we talk about, you know, the days of the Harlem Renaissance, you know, when Langston Hughes explained the feeling of a deferred dream to a country that wasn't yet ready to hear it. And Billie Holiday awakened the consciousness of an apathetic country by singing of the lynchings that were happening in the South. Our artists are still maintaining and continuing those exact same narratives. We're still fighting for the same idea and understanding of equality and equity that has always been promised but never been fulfilled. And how long do we expect that deferred dream to continue to find peaceable paths down this stream? We're running out of time. And at the end of the day, if we can't now as a society find a way to find one another, to shed the ideologies that the past ideologies that we've been weighed down by for generations, we're going to miss that boat and we're going to miss that opportunity. So I would challenge everyone on this call, all of my artists, all of my educators, all of my advocates, all of my contemporaries. I salute you in the work. You inspire me. I encourage you to continue to be vigilant and to maintain the fight. But I also would encourage all of us to really be self-critical in our process of figuring out what the best steps are going forward. Because the weight of the decisions that we're making will definitely reverberate throughout generations. And I look forward to continuing in this work alongside with you. And I definitely look forward to making sure that we continue this long uphill battle in pushing this pendulum of society forward. So I don't want to be before you guys too much longer, but I feel like on a day such as now, in a time such as this, we need to end with a Baldwin quote. One of my favorite quotes of his that I think is so necessary when we're evoking the emotion of today and what's happening. He's already let us know. God gave Noah the rainbow sign. No more water, fire next time.
Aaron, thank you. Thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your work. It was great. It's great to hear from you. Let's give Aaron another round of applause, some Zoom love for his work. Again, it's great to hear his message. It's so important at Arts Advocacy Day. It truly, truly is. So I know I do, not to go too quickly, but I want to welcome up Matt. We've got a couple of slides. We're going to do this in a bit of a abridged version and then send you guys to delegation room. So get your pen and paper out. Matt, are you there? If you want to start real quick.
Hey, Nicholas, thank you. Good morning, everybody. This is Matt Gallagher, the chair of the Maryland Citizens for the Arts Board. Welcome to the driest part of the presentation today, the annual quick budget review. And being sensitive to time, we're going to burn through this really, really quickly. As everybody knows, there is a law in place in Maryland that makes sure that arts funding grows in relationship to the growth in the general fund budget. And per the terms of those laws, typically, if you see on the left-hand side of the slide, the 2022 mandate, we would have expected that there would be 27.3 million available for arts funding this year. Unfortunately, in the governor's proposed budget, he has suggested to make a reduction in the general fund budget this year for arts funding. And on top of that, he is proposing actually making it a permanent reduction. Nicholas, can you go to the next slide, please? Okay. So typically, if the general fund budget for the state grows by 3% each year, then the arts funding grows by 3% each year. And this has been historically like a very strong statement that the state of Maryland values the arts sector, understands its importance and how much it contributes to the overall state of the economy. And to the extent there's budgetary growth in, the state's budget, that it should be able to support a corresponding level of growth in the arts budget. Now, obviously, these are challenging times, and there have been points in history before where there have been needs to level fund or, curtail the growth of funding. Unfortunately, what's proposed in the governor's formula right now is to put in place a permanent change so that the arts funding would grow by less than the general fund, up to less than 1 percentage point a year. which when you compound that year after year could have very, very significant negative consequences for the sector. Next slide, please. So right now we stand to lose as a sector almost $3 million. And the permanent change, when you factor it in and you look at that compounding, it could represent a $10 million reduction over the next 4 years. So this is very, very significant, and it's something that's very important for the sector to rally against. Next slide. And here's just kind of that illustration. This is the compounding effect that can happen if this change is allowed to be made permanent. These represent, 1.9 million, 2.3 million, 2.6 million, almost 3 million. This represents the loss from the current law as it exists right now if the governor's proposal is adopted by the General Assembly. Next slide. So what we're hoping for, and we really want you to strongly advocate for today, is to fully support Maryland Citizens for the Arts at the mandated level of 27.3 million. We're asking the General Assembly to reject that proposed cut of 2.9 million. And we also are asking the General Assembly to reject the permanent change in the funding formula. Additionally, there's two other bills that we think are important. One is to establish the Capital Arts Grant Program, which will set aside money every single year to support arts organizations in the capital budget. And second, there's another bill that's going to update some artistic definitions for arts and entertainment districts, which are going to expand eligibility and make sure that more artists and more sector members are able to enjoy the benefits of this district designation. So is that quick enough for you?
Perfect, Matt. Thank you so much. That was the breeziest one we've had yet.
Fantastic. Good luck to everybody today. And thank you again for your support and your presence. I know you're not physically present in Annapolis today, but it makes such a huge difference for these delegations to see the sector show up as strong as it does every single year. So thank you for your efforts and thank you for your time today.